The original Jurassic Park is one of my favourite movies of all time. Now all the stars are coming back for the new Jurassic World entry. Now I'm not a fan of the Jurassic World franchise, but is this enough to pull me and other fans back based on nostalgia? That's what we're talking about in this video. Hey people, my name's Jim and you have landed on Planet Rewind. If you're a fan of 80s and 90s nostalgia, click subscribe and we can reminisce together. Now obviously, the whole focus on my channel is nostalgia, so I'm going to be drawn to nostalgia, but I am not drawn to nostalgia blindly. Now for me, the Jurassic World franchise, other than the first film, I don't really like any of them. Like, I like Lost World a bit, but I don't like that Jeff Goldblum basically isn't playing Ian Malcolm in that movie. He's playing some kind of Jean-Claude Van Damme, no offense to Van Damme, but just kind of more of a cold, reserved action hero. Jurassic Park 3 was somewhat acceptable, but I got annoyed because I just didn't see Sam Neill. His heart was in it, and I also didn't like the way they made Alan Grant's character split up with Ellie Sattler and all this and that. It just came across a bit sad. And the Jurassic World series, for me, the first one is probably the best, but I don't like any of the characters from it. I genuinely don't. I don't like any of the performances, any of the human characters. I don't like the kind of massive killer dinosaur franchise this seems to have become. I don't like the whole... For me, it kind of reminds me of a sci-fi movie edge, and that's not a compliment. You know, it's not a good thing to say. Like, it just reminds me of killer dinosaur movies. It doesn't remind me of what I know about Jurassic Park. Now, Jurassic Park, the strength of it for me was the park, you know, and the kind of being in that confined space. But the whole idea of Jurassic Park was so fascinating. It's almost like a one-off. Just that space, that world, that park, that idea was so relevant at the time, you know. The whole theme park idea of this possibly becoming something, it kind of felt like the Truman Show, the way that was predicting reality TV. This was kind of like predicting what we do with theme parks. It didn't actually unfold like that because you can't clone dinosaurs, you know. For me, it doesn't warrant sequels because that first film, what's so special about it is that location, is the idea of the park opening. The idea of them going in to check whether this thing could possibly work, and then it just doesn't. Where do you go from there? Like, we'll just have a dinosaur island and you'll go back to that. It lost that kind of sparkle, that magic of Jurassic Park, that kind of brand of Jurassic Park. Now, director Colin Trevorrow has said about this new one that it will have a lot of heart. Even though it's kind of epic and grand scale, it will kind of focus on the characters, which is encouraging to hear. But also, we know what would happen if dinosaurs could roam around with humans. This is going to be like a slasher movie, a kind of killer dinosaur slasher movie. They're just going to be roaming around cities, picking people off, and the human characters are going to be trying to work out what to do. For me, it takes away what I love about Jurassic Park, which is the park. But if you've got to this point and you're bringing back characters who I know and love, I must admit you've got me intrigued. Now, we have been told that these characters appear in the movie, not like Jeff Goldblum's glorified cameo in the last movie, which was god-awful, by the way. The last movie was the very worst Jurassic Park movie. I absolutely despised it. Thought it was a load of old arse.
That is one big pile of shit.
I think an interesting idea that you could do with these characters is drawing on the time they had in Jurassic Park to harness that experience to help other humans who are not used to dealing with killer bloody dinosaurs. The most intriguing one coming back for me is Ellie Sattler, because we haven't seen her properly. Jurassic Park 3, weird kind of, she picked up a phone and saved the day. Yeah, Sattler's she's got access to the army. Like, how does she get the entire United States Army to believe her, one, and then send it out because this woman says so? That was really, really weird. That was her only involvement, sitting at home on the phone on the blower to the army. I thought she was a really strong woman in Jurassic Park. I thought she was had great convictions. She was very fun. She's very charismatic. Her relationship with Alan Grant was very kind of adorable. I want to see them back together. I want to see them back together. I hate how Jurassic Park 3 ruined that. Why would you not have them together after that emotional journey they went on of him realising that he could have kids with this woman, just randomly having her be with someone else and he's on his own. I just didn't like that, so repair that for me. Have Alan Grant and Ellie Sattler together. I think we could recreate a lot of the nostalgic scenes from Jurassic Park You know, have Alan Grant encounter a T-Rex, you know, with Ian Malcolm in an iconic scene. Now that we can have, you know, have some practical effects and try and recreate, I would like to see Ellie Sattler confront some raptors in the way she has to run in the first movie, and she's protected by Malden who gets killed, but now this time she has to somehow outrun and outwit raptors. You know, take elements from Jurassic Park and have the characters have to confront their scary past. The idea of these people coming back intrigues me. You know, is it enough to get me fully invested? I really hated the last movie. I really did. But this is kind of just, you know, luring me in. The way that Terminator lured me in and just burned me time and time again. And I kind of compare Jurassic Park to Terminator. They're not as bad movies, but they're movies that have let me down over and over again. Bill and Ted hasn't let me down yet, you know, so I'm interested in that. But when you've been burned so many times, you're just like, okay, you know, but you get drawn in because they know that you want to see these characters. So Joseph Mazello and Ariana Richards have been hinted, it's only a hint, to be in Jurassic World Dominion. Mazello has put up some cryptic tweets. Ariana Richards has done an interview, says she's willing to return. People have kind of involved with the film has hinted that they will return. That brings my interest even more. Now, I thought Lex and Tim were two of the most likeable young characters, children characters in any movie ever. I thought they were fantastic, their performances. So charming, so charismatic. You really brought them in peril. Their relationship with Alan Grant was really, really sweet. They were good little actors. I'm surprised they didn't go on to have gigantic careers, to be honest, because they've both done really, really well. And now they'll be adults, so that would give it even more of an edge. So this is what's drawing me in. I think Lex and Tim is pulling me in further than the other cast members. The other cast members is like, yeah, I'm interested. Lex and Tim coming back draws me in even more because they haven't been involved remotely in the franchise since the beginning, and they were so likeable. And there is something intriguing to me about seeing them as adults. Seeing how their past experience affected them, how they react to drawing on that traumatic childhood time, and it would be a trauma they'd have to be dealing with. And I think Lex and Tim might be two of the most interesting characters you could bring back. How did they grow up with this? You know, what is their reaction now to what's going on in the world in this, killer dinosaurs are on the loose? You could make me realise that Lex may be the character, she has panic attacks because she worries about a dinosaur coming around. She dreams of raptors and this and that. Tim's a bit more over it, but he's still scared of dinosaurs, and he kind of resents his grandfather a bit for what he did. This could be some interesting stuff we could see, and it's annoying that these characters are only rumoured because they intrigue me more than the others. You could have, when they reunite with Alan Grant in this film, have they been friends with Alan Grant? You know, it's hinted at the end of Jurassic Park that he would carry on sort of having a distant relationship with these kids. He'd at least stay in contact. In this, you could kind of go either way. You could be that they stayed friends with him, or he drifted out of contact and now they have to build up that trust again. So it's basically what happened in the first film, but now they are adults learning to trust Alan Grant. And Alan Grant, kind of that regret of not being there for them over the years. There's stuff you could do with these characters, and I hope they just don't go, here are the characters, but we're focusing on Bryce Dallas Howard, all the others, we're focusing on them, but here's them. You'd be happy. Just like they went, here's Jeff Goldblum. Welcome to Jurassic World. Like, that was it. That was Jeff Goldblum's involvement. Need to be prominent. You can't get me drawn in. You can't get me there if they're not prominent. I don't care if they say, oh, we're in the movie. Yeah, you're in the movie, but what are you doing? You have to be prominent. I want it to be about them. I want it to complete their journey. Because I do not like the other characters that you've put in this universe. I really, really don't. What do you guys think? Are you looking forward to these characters coming back? Do you think Lex and Tim will be back? Which character are you most looking forward to seeing? Are you a fan of Jurassic World franchise? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, why not stick around? Click on the video on the screen right now where I go back and watch Power Rangers as an adult. Thanks for watching as always, and be excellent to each other.